G'day, I'm Derek Fildebrandt, publisher of the Western Standard, and you're watching the Alberta Report, our daily updates on the Alberta campaign trail. This is, well, we're Dear Mother. It's Mother's Day weekend coming up here, so happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I'm joined as usual by Western Standard News editor Dave Naylor.
Happy Friday, Derek.
Thank you. And one of our Calgary reporters, the Western Standard's own Sean Polzer.
Morning.
We're also going to be joined in a little bit by another one of our Calgary reporters, Jonathan Bradley. We're going to talk about, I don't mean to sound like we're red baiting or red under every bed here, but lots of communists, it seems, who are running under the NDP banner or involved in the NDP right now with communist ties. We're going to talk about a former NDP candidate along with a self-proclaimed communist and another person who rushed the podium and disrupted a Danielle Smith presser yesterday where she had to be whisked away by security. The Western Standard's Jonathan Bradley has found evidence of a second NDP candidate in this election with Communist Party ties. And we're going to talk about Rachel Notley's promise made yesterday evening of $1.2 billion in election goodies for Calgary. Before I get into it, though, just want to thank the Canadian Shooting Sports Association for their support of the show. I've been a member of the CSSA for over a decade because they're Canada's leading firearms right group. If you're a gun owner in Canada, you need to become a member. Go to CSSA-CILA.org or Google them like I do and become a member. It's worth every single penny. Okay, Sean, we'll start with you. You were all over this, I think, also working alongside Arthur Green, one of our reporters in Edmonton. Yesterday, there was a disruption. Danielle Smith was holding a press conference for some kind of making election stuff. And while she was doing that, three people who were, I guess, not her fans, rushed the stage. Tell us about what happened there and who these people, you were able to uncover at least who two of these three people were.
Right. Well, we were just about getting ready to go into the question period, and then all of a sudden there was a ruckus, and security guy came up behind me, and I was kind of wondering what the hell was going on. And then I looked, and so we had two people over here, and one guy ran up in front of the camera and flashing his sign, and his belly was sticking out, and the other two were being held back. Danielle got whisked away. The two candidates that were there apparently were...
They just kind of stood there looking around.
Security didn't care about them at all.
They were collateral damage.
Could you imagine, like, if it had been a more serious incident? But it probably just dawns on at this point, like, the security doesn't give a shit about us. Like, no one even paid attention to them.
And then they kind of did their thing, and then everybody said, like, okay, you can leave now. You've made your point. Can you please go?
Yeah.
And they did.
So tell us, you, as soon as this happened, I know the team here, you were working with Arthur Green in Edmonton, doing your best to identify them, and you have, I think, a solid ID on at least two of the three people who rushed the stage.
Yeah. So one of them was an NDP candidate in the 2021 election, Patrick King.
Federal election. Yeah.
Federal election, but he was also active in the provincial party as well. So he had attended some of their policy conventions and made motions and things. So it's hard to imagine that Team Rachel wouldn't know who this guy is. I'm sure that he's pretty close to them in the party circles. The second guy, the name escapes me, but he's an AFL.
Doncaster?
AFL is Alberta Federation of Labor, yeah.
Yeah, so he's Alberta Federation of Labor. Arthur said he's showed up at protests on the ledge all the time, and he's quite well documented. His views are quite well documented.
So tell me about those views.
And he is definitely a communist.
Yeah, so tell us about this. He was sharing some kind of communist content, or is an openly declared. I think he's called himself an anarcho-syndicalist.
Yeah,
which is,
I'd never heard the word before yesterday.
I have heard of it, but it is, I would call it a micro ideology within broader Marxism, communism. I won't get into the whole thing. I think it comes, I could be mistaken. I think it comes from Gramsci, was an Italian communist, but kind of before like the rise of the Soviet Union solidified that version of communism. There was a couple competing theories of communism. Anarcho-syndicalism is a bizarre theory where you could have a communist state without a government. I don't know. It's like having I don't know, a sailboat without water. It seems to me it's a bit weird, but it is one of the, I'd say, schools of thought within broader communist theory. It's not a Marxist-Leninist communism, but it's another kind of communism.
And
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's definitely documented. He's made his views well known. So
Yeah, I was going to say there's a picture of him that we found holding up a book on Rachel Notley's father, Grant Notley. So
there's
he's
also a T-shirt of him with Chavez, right?
Guevara and all those guys. Yeah. To me, it's a bit concerning. Obviously, these guys are on the fringe and they're protesting something that isn't going to happen, right? Danielle Smith is not selling hospitals.
Oh, yeah. So, we wouldn't even really get into what this was
Yeah,
about. Yeah, so,
and that's what it was. Don't sell our hospital, and they had signs Rocky View for sale.
Why don't you back up? Because the NDP have been alleging that Danielle Smith plans to sell the hospitals in Alberta.
Right. They took something she said as a private citizen in 2021, I believe. Took it completely out of context and put out a release on Wednesday, I think it was, saying Danielle Smith wants to sell hospitals, which isn't true. And the fact is there's been privately run hospitals in Alberta for more than a century now.
Longer than Alberta's existed.
Yeah, and Banff Mineral Springs is a private hospital. So it was a big nothing burger really in terms of election stuff. But like Notley's charge that Albertans are going to pay to see a doctor, some people do believe it. And these protesters obviously believed it and stormed into this press conference and were holding up the signs. And it's ludicrous because they're protesting something that is not going to happen. And I think already we've seen a slight change today in the UCP plans. As soon as we're done here, Sean's off to a press conference in Okotoks, but they're not saying where in Okotoks for the general public. You have to be an accredited member of the media to get the location. So they're already taking steps to try and stop these bozos from wrecking more press conferences.
And I got GPS coordinates.
Hope it's not in the middle of a lake somewhere.
I hate Okotoks addresses because so much of it is, this actually goes all the way to High River down there. They'll have like 934th Avenue or something because they just continue from downtown Calgary. Even though they're completely different municipalities, they decided we don't need to. Maybe they were 100 years ago. They're like, someday we're going to get annexed by Calgary, and this way we won't have to adjust any street signs.
It's like 554.
Yeah, it's just these absolutely bonkers addresses down in that area. Okay, so let's be fair here. These people were not, representing the NDP. Rachel Notley denies having sent them there. I don't believe for a second she said, "Hey guys, I want you to go down and crash this presser." I don't think that'd be the case. But some people are alleging that this was doxing. The NDP put out a tweet saying, "Hey, Danielle Smith is going to be at this place at this time." That was publicly available knowledge. The UCP had said that this is happening, but it is unusual for an opposition, the other party, to say this is where the leader is going to be at this time. I don't know. But these people have very clear connections to the NDP.
Very clear connections.
But let's be fair, there are crazy people in every political party. The UCP's got its nutters as well, and people who, I wouldn't be entirely shocked if you saw something similar from guys who have some kind of connection to the UCP at some point do it. Now, if some of them had connections to the National Socialist Party of Canada and they were open Nazis, I think that'd be newsworthy. But I don't know. What's been the NDP and Rachel Notley's reaction to what happened yesterday? Because it's, necessitated security whisking her away. These guys weren't armed or anything, but we did just have an armed gunman at the legislature days ago.
Well, and that was kind of my thought as well, is this has the potential to get really nasty. Like if you've got guys at the ledge with guns and you don't know, you're in a public place, and they just rush the stage and Danielle has all kinds of security. Like it's almost like the Secret Service in the U.S. So, she comes out of the elevator and she's got like 5 guys around her. And it seemed to me that it had the potential to get ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just kind of a nasty undercurrent in the whole campaign. And the NDP aren't talking to us, and it's so partisan. But at her
surely an election would not be partisan.
No, absolutely not. I guess. No, Rachel just kind of shrugged it off and took the high road, said that she would never do that. And it's kind of like you said, I don't know that they actually sent these guys out there.
I almost certainly not, because it's not a good look for the NDP, even if the NDP didn't have anything to do with it. I really wouldn't imagine that. I mean, somebody could make the argument they sort of incited it because they're spreading disinformation, but I mean, all campaigns and all elections are going to bend the truth as far as they can for their own ends. That's not a new thing. And, alerting their supporters to the time and location where Smith is going to be, that was a little weirder, but I mean, it's not untoward. It's a little off. When I was in politics, I used to get a fair number of death threats. Some of them semi-credible, but I never wanted a security detail that cost taxpayers a bunch of money, hurts your privacy. So I put in an application just to be able to be my own security detail and carry a handgun. RCP did not go for it.
No.
I wanted to be my own Secret Service and save the taxpayers some money.
Walk around with a headpiece in all the time.
Yeah. No one will think of necessity of me. They'll think I'm the guard. Yeah, I think that's what we should do. Is we should just train the politicians to concealed carry and let them defend themselves.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll switch up here. A similar kind of topic, though. We're going to bring in one of our Calgary reporters, Jonathan Bradley, right now. Jonathan, I know just a few days ago, you released a story with photos obtained of NDP two-term MLA and present candidate for the NDP, Rod Loyola. It was known from before that he had some weird sort of secular seance church-style memorial for Hugo Chavez. But you had just obtained photos of Rod Loyola marching in a Communist Party parade. So not really dismissible as I like a guy who is a communist, but I'm not a communist myself.
He was leading the parade, never mind marching on it.
Yeah, he was leading this communist delegation, I guess, in the parade for Workers' World Revolution or whatnot. But you released another story yesterday, a second NDP candidate, not necessarily proof that they were ever members of a communist party, but certainly very strong endorsements of communism and communist links.
Yes, so Alberta NDP candidate Diana Baden, Calgary, she's running in Calgary, Acadia. She retweeted a post commemorating American hacker Aaron Swartz from an account which praised communism. And the reason why I say that it was an account praising communism is because the title of the account was Vote Communist May 4th. And next to the name on Twitter, it had the hammer and sickle next to it. And yeah.
So, in an election, if a right-leaning candidate like a UCP candidate had, retweeted something from Vote Nazi May 4th and had a swastika emoji, this would be, needless to say, a very big deal. Has the NDP responded, issued any kind of apology or clarification, if you will, about one of their candidates sharing communist material?
I haven't seen anything. No one's commented on neither. Similar with Rod Loyola's ordeal. He or the NDP haven't commented on that incident. It's a repeated pattern of communism within the NDP.
Where is this candidate running?
This candidate is running in Calgary, Acadia. So Tyler Shandro's riding.
And we were just talking yesterday. That is a extremely tight race. We got Tyler Shandro there. He's a controversial figure. He was health minister under Jason Kenney, who oversaw lockdowns and mandates. So he's got at least, used to have at least a lot of people on his right side very upset with him. Some are probably coming back. A lot of them probably come back to the UCP fold now. But it would take only possibly even a few dozen of them to stay at home to cost him and the UCP that seat. Has there been any reaction from the UCP so far on I suppose the second NDP candidate with communist links exposed?
Nothing that I've seen so far, but from what I've heard, there are some people within the UCP who are upset about this and who have communicated with me, telling me that if this was a conservative that was, like vote Nazi May 4th, it would be a political career ender.
So Dave, we kind of talked about this yesterday, but we've still got to talk about it. Why the hell is the legacy and government-funded media utterly uninterested that a party which stands let's say 45% chance of forming government on May 29th, why are they so uninterested that a party, a serious party with a chance of winning an election, has now at least 2 candidates running under its banner, including 1 2-term MLA, have clear links to an ideology and political party that killed more people in the 20th century than all other causes combined?
You know what? It's mind-boggling to me. I know when I was sitting in the assignment desk at the Calgary Sun, and I saw a story like this, I would think, holy cow, we got to try and match this. We got to do something on it and jump on it. But Jonathan's had 2 excellent exclusives in the last 2 days, exposing serious communist ties to 2 NDP candidates, and not a single word crickets from the legacy media. It's disgraceful.
You worked at the Herald. I imagine definitely the old Sun, but probably even the old Herald, before in its current iteration. I imagine they would find it worth at least a sentence or 2 during an election that the official opposition party and a party that stands a reasonable shot of forming government as candidates supporting a totalitarian ideology running for it. Is it just that if communism's okay, Nazism's not?
Yeah, and I kind of thought that too, because I asked Danielle at the press conference yesterday what her reaction was, being compared to Hitler, when these people are actual avowed communists. You know what I mean? And it kind of struck me too that if you had a UCP candidate that was an actual Nazi or Klan and ran around with the hood and everything like that, it would be front page news. It would
and legitimately so.
News. Yeah,
will be international news.
Right.
Yeah.
So there seems to be like a huge level of hypocrisy there. I noticed on Linda Splodian's column, Rachel and her Che watch.
Che Guevara watch, yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't wear that anymore.
No.
I think she only stopped wearing it when she became premier, or very soon before. But I think she was well known to wear the Che Guevara watch until pretty much the time she became premier. Then realized
Che's kind of trendy. He's on T-shirts, and the young kids.
I see kids, and I'd see kids wear it like in university and be like, they're just idiots. They don't really know. I think it's a cool picture and stylized. Most kids are just idiots and don't know that he's a communist. Rachel Notley knew Che Guevara was a communist, and a violent one at that, when he committed tons of extrajudicial murders. The only thing good to come from him was he got shot in a ditch somewhere in Bolivia.
And the kids that are wearing those T-shirts couldn't spell Che Guevara if they learned on it.
To be fair, I don't know if any of us could. I definitely couldn't spell Che Guevara. Che, I could spell Che. That's
about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Jonathan. Moving on from the communists, assuming we don't have any more coming. Wink,
Ooh,
wink.
hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
Stay tuned. There's more communists coming. The stories just aren't ready yet. Sean, you were at Rachel Notley rally and press conference yesterday in the evening.
Yeah.
She had, I think, a fairly decent-sized crowd out there making promises for Calgary.
Yes, $1.2 billion, big, huge, long list. Green LRT, 40 new schools, teachers, healthcare center. I can't even begin. There was about a half dozen items that were on there. Yeah, for sure. 1.2 billion.
All right.
Which is a pretty impressive number.
How's they going to pay? 40 schools sounds damn good on paper, but
start picking up bottles, I guess. I don't know.
It's no, both the two big parties, Dave, are promising, they're making it rain on Calgary. Like, none of this was unforeseen. Calgary is the battleground, and that means Calgary gets showered with money. And Calgary is the Alberta equivalent of, in a U.S. presidential election of, well, what Florida used to be one, not anymore, but say Ohio or Pennsylvania, the big swing ones. And that's where the candidates spend all their time and make generally their promises. So they're just showering money on Calgary. Part of me thinks Rachel Notley's promise of showering money on Calgary might actually go down a little bit better with Calgarians than Smith's, because Smith's was mostly just the arena, this big thing. The provincial money is for sprucing up the whole Rivers district. It's a municipality that's putting money in to go directly for the arena. But I mean, it's more targeted for one part of Calgary and for people who have the money to go to Flames games. Notley's promise, though, is a bit more broad-based for Calgary. Schools and hospitals and stuff that pretty much everyone is generally going to enjoy. And it's a bigger price tag, but it's more broad-based. I don't know. Do you think it's? Do you think her Calgary cash promise might actually go down better than Smith's?
It may do, Derek. I mean, there's something for everybody in there. Teachers, LRT, everything. But I think, don't forget, the arena deal is not popular with a lot of Calgarians.
It's about 50-50.
It's 50-50. And I think those same 50-50, the same people that are opposed to the arena deal may be kind of opposed to Smith's deal, as in terms, where's this money coming from?
Does it mean Notley's deal?
Notley's deal, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's a lot of money. Where's it going to come from? How's it going to affect my taxes? So, you know what? Every promise could help, but they could also backfire.
And any mention from Notley about where the money comes from, or is this just
There's been
oil's gushing and it will always gush, will always be swimming in money?
That seems to be the assumption. And oil's not exactly.
What's oil at right now today?
It's about $71 today, which is above water, but it's been going up and down.
Yeah. What did they budget for? 76, wasn't it?
75, I think, to break even. 79 to post a $2 billion surplus. So if you think 1.2 billion for Calgary, then we are definitely out of the money.
Every party says, I'm going to get us off the oil roller coaster, and no party ever does anything because it's a 4-year election cycle. It's impossible for a political party on a 4-year election cycle to be thinking in terms of 20, 30, 40, 50 years, long-term stuff. Everyone talks about it because we all know that's the right thing to do. But voters, when you put it to voters, do you want long-term prudent planning or do you want the shiny thing right here, right now? 99% of the time, they pick the shiny thing. I suppose it's just human nature and one of the defects in democracy. Okay. Well, that's it for today's Alberta Report. Again, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers, all the husbands, sons, dads out there. Don't forget, you've been warned. I'm already on top of it. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next episode of Alberta Report, and God bless.
The current Lethbridge feed grain prices are following this morning's USDA report. Cash barley's at $4.05, feed wheat's at $4.04, and corn's unchanged at $3.90 per metric ton. In the milling wheat markets, July Minneapolis futures gained 16 3/4 cents at $8.53, with local hard red spring bids for May movement at $10 per bushel. In the oil seeds, nearby canola futures lost $9 at $7.15.10 per ton, with delivered values for May movement at $16 per bushel. In the pulse markets, nearby red lentils are trading at 34 cents a pound, and yellow peas remain at $11.50 per bushel. In the cattle markets, June live cattle increased to $1.60 at $164.55 per 100 weight. For more information on grain marketing, call me at 403-394-1711. I'm Sean Smith from Marketplace Commodities, accurate real-time marketing information and pricing options.
Canadian Shooting Sports Association. Without the CSSA, our gun rights would have been taken long ago. These guys are on the front lines helping to draft smart and intelligent firearms regulations and legislation in Canada. and more importantly, educating the public about how we keep guns out of the hands of the wrong people. To become a member, it's absolutely worth every penny. You can become a Western Standard member for just $10 a month or $99